This conference will now be recorded.
Like IBM Rochester, Real Vision Software is also celebrating 30 years of product excellence. We provide a document imaging and workflow solution called Real Vision Imaging, or RVI. It's our only product, and we are focused on development, installation, and support of our software. You know, dealing with documents is incredibly inefficient and has a major impact on the speed of your business. When you digitize your documents, they become easier to find, share, manage, and track. They are better protected from security incidents or disaster exposures, not to mention the fact that you can take back your valuable floor space and put it to better use. But the real value of going paperless is the opportunity to totally transform your workplace. You'll see in the demo that RVI is equipped with many features, but they can be categorized into one of four primary functions. RVI provides a capture system that lets you digitize documents and assign searchable index values. Once your documents are captured, RVI security and retention controls make sure they are very well protected. RVI workflow and audits give you the capability to manage your documents significantly better. And your users now have instant access to all their documents anytime, from any place, even from their mobile app. RVI has been helping thousands of customers social distance from paperwork over the past 30 years. These customers are trusting us to manage their millions of documents every single day. And the remaining slides in this presentation kind of just support the points I'll be bringing across. So why don't we just go to the demo and get started. I'm going to start with a standalone inquiry approach. Here I'm going to log into our remote server. And the first thing you'll see is our one-look user interface. It's a browser-based interface. There's no workstation code to download, and I think you're going to find it's very intuitive. And you see I'm presented with a list of systems that I'm allowed to access. RVI uses the term systems. You might think of this as a file room, as a department, as an application, just a way of grouping your documents. You'd want to keep your AP documents separate from your HR documents, probably keep your customer files separate from your supplier files, things like that. You can set up individual systems that can each have their own set of unique index values. If I select the AP system, we've set up 4 values: vendor, company, date, document type. You can have as many as 99. And if I do a search without putting any filters in at all, you'll see we've got 103 documents in this system. I can do things like sort them. I can actually pick and choose what columns I want to see. I can rearrange the order of it. I can sort them. Maybe I want to group them. So I want to take all of these documents, group them together. And so you'll see now I've taken and pulled the documents under each of the associated companies with them. We can put a drop-down selection in here. So if, for example, I want to keep my grouping, but just show me the invoices, it'll take that list down to 54, and you can see all the document types are invoices now. And I can even drop those into a spreadsheet at this point. We call this our grid look, our grid view. It's part of the one look structure. We can take the grid view and we can drop it right into an Excel spreadsheet. There's 54 records that we have. We took all the data column delineated that we were displaying, dropped it into the spreadsheet. Here's 56 documents, less the 2 header fields. That's our 54 documents. So it gives the users an opportunity to drop those into their own reports, if you will. For dates, we can, I'll put this out here, we can put pop-up calendars in, and we can even specify a from and to range, so you don't have to put in any kind of dates here. You can just select what you want to see. You can have a pop-up calendar on that. We also have a more sophisticated search capability. We call it advanced search, and it lets you put multiple criteria in. So here, I want to find all the documents I have on file for vendors 871 and 1459, and you see I found 7 hits. Each company had 1 invoice. So let's get even more particular, and let's say, you know what? For those 2 vendors, just bring me back their the invoices. And when I do this search with totals, it should bring back just 2 documents, and it did. Here's the 2 invoices that it found. So we've got that for more advanced searches that your users are going to want to do in a production environment. I'll clear it out. We do support wildcards, so you don't have to key in the whole information. Bring me back all companies that start with the letter R, and we had 4 hits for Real Vision software. We'll talk about the viewer in a second here, but you have the option if you want to take a peek at them. I can get a quick look at what these documents are if I wasn't sure what they were, so I can pick and choose what I want to work with. So we have one of those options as well. We also, for the users, most of the time they're doing inquiries, they're trying to resolve a question or they're trying to resolve a dispute, and that requires gathering documents to put together their response. We actually have a little holding area that we call the temporary grid. I can gather my documents, I can bounce across systems, it'll remember what's in there. When I'm ready to prepare my response, I'll display the temporary grid. Here's the 2 documents I've pitched in there. I have the option of combining them. And when I do, here's my 2 documents back to back. I can tie this into my email system, select that, put my message in there, send it off, and it's as simple as that. So the temporary grid's a great addition for your customer service people working with these documents. When I'm done, I'll just clear the temporary grid and I'm ready for my next transaction. You'll notice these flags here. They tell us various things about what's going on. The document's routed, it's linked, maybe it's stapled to something. If I've got notes, I can hover over this and I can see what notes are there. Let's pick the purchase order and have a look at this document. So the first thing you'll see is we'll display, our default is to deliver the document as a PDF in the plugin of your choice. So I'm in the Chrome browser. This is what the Adobe plugin looks like that, and here's the default functions that it gives you. My point being, this is not our code where we're actually displaying the image. What is ours and what's in our control is the user has a lot of options. We've got this little sidebar here, but the users can view, print, email, route, audit, stamp a signature, many choices that you can give them. And the options or permissions are controllable down at the individual user level. So you can dictate who can do what with which documents. So in this case, if you recall, we had some notes. If you have notes, it'll give you the option to show them. The notes can either be open or they can have close dates, in which case it'll flip the flag to a C. Let's say I want to add a note. We do give you the option to check out documents. That's letting people know that I'm either appending something to it or I'm working with that file or that particular document. Maybe they want to talk to me first. I can either close it and keep the record, or I can just delete it like a yellow sticky note and get rid of it there. I can take this record of notes and I can drop them into an Excel spreadsheet as well. So quite a bit of things that we can do with the notes. You know, maybe one of the options is you want the users to be able to correct or update index values. But also maybe you want to know what's taking place. So we do track everything. We track everything that the users are doing for this document, who's viewed it, printed it, emailed it, routed it. Everybody's Len here or Monty because it's really a demo box, so we're the only 2 that really get on it for the most part. I can get it in this log format. I can look at it in audit chart format. And we also keep detailed trackings for this document of what's happened in workflow, who approved it, where did it move, who added a code to it, any of those kinds of things. We keep track of that in the workflow audits. So I'm showing you that quickly, but I'm more interested actually in this broader set of audits that we have or tracking where you can set up your own customized dashboards. So you can determine what you want to see what the overall health is going on and what's happening in your operation and keep tabs on things. So you don't see much here, and the reason for that is we're very limited to 1 day here. I can pick and choose what I want to see. I can pick and choose what systems I want to look at, and I can pick and choose the date. So let's go back a little bit, put a little runway on here, and you'll see this is really what's been happening over a more extended time period. I kind of like this chart here. You got all these little pretty bar charts and stuff like that, but this table's got a lot of very cool information in it. It's telling you that I've done over 5,000 views in between these dates. Here's my emails I've done. I can click on the 143 emails. I can drop this report into an Excel spreadsheet, or I can simply pull up the document or pull up that transaction and see what document I was looking at or what was involved in that. If I want, I can double click here and I can get a graphical report of what's happening. So, and I can download that. So it's really giving you a much broader look at what's happening in the system at a user-based level, and you can tailor and pick and choose that so that you can see if things are running smoothly and you pick and choose what you want to take a look at. So we have all kinds of ways to handle that. Lots of ways that we can relate documents together. We talked about sorting, we talked about grouping, we can link to things, we can attach or append things. You can also just staple documents. So we have a little staple grid. I'll pick the delivery document first, and I want to staple the check to it. So what I do is I just add those to the staple grid. When I'm ready to finalize it, my primary document's the first one I picked. Here's my second one. I finalize it. And now we've added an S here. Every time I open the delivery ticket, it's going to bring the check with it. When I want to unstaple it, all I got to do is maintain the staple, take that record, remove it, finalize the staple, and it's no longer stapled. So another interesting thing, and these are work baskets, which we'll talk about real shortly, but another thing we can do is we can relate documents with what we call packages. And here you see a package. In this case, we're onboarding new employees. And here are 5 documents that we want to be able to group together. Right now, I've got 4 pages in-house. I'm missing 2 of the documents. And what will happen is when this package is completed, the missing will disappear. Those documents will be indexed. But it's just a way that I can always keep track of things in a package. Doesn't have to be for HR. Package can be anything. Maybe I'm setting up a new vendor and these are the documents I need on file. Maybe before I send an order out, here's the items I need to make sure I have. Maybe before I pay any bill, these are what I need. It could be just anything you need it to be, certifications, whatever, that you need to keep track of, and you need to make sure that you've got a certain set of documents together. So packages is another option that we have to do that. So lots of different ways that we can relate documents together. Another way we can kind of tie things is let's set this back at our system listing. And another thing that you can do is you can interface it or call RVI directly from your business applications, whether they're green screen, modernized, web, PC type applications. We have program calls, we have a screen scrape utility, and different ways that you can do that. So let's look at a couple examples here. I'm a green screen user in my accounts payable application working on vendor 3. Ultimately, what I'd like to do is have some kind of function key here. If I've got the source code, we can do it with a program call and a function key. So here I'm going to hit function key 5, and I'm going to bring back all documents in the AP system for vendor 3. And in this case, we're going to call one look. So we're calling AP system vendor 3, bring us right back to this list of documents, and I can work with them. We can do it with a screen scrape. So instead of having a function key, I might have an escape key or some other attention key to call the same list. If you prefer, we can give you this subfile listing in a green screen look, and you could present the images in this viewer, or we also have another option, a Windows-based viewer for our green screen customers if you want to use that look. So we give you different options there, and obviously, so we can call our system directly from your green screen applications, depending on how you want to set up that interface approach. Let's set it back to the system here. If it's a modernized application or a web or a PC application and you don't have function keys, maybe we can put a button in there like the browse image. Maybe we can't. If we can't, we'll put a little sidebar out here and we'll do something like this where we got view records. And I'd like to bring back all the documents I have for vendor 121, says office supplies. So when I do that, here we're calling system D 121. We found these 11 hits on the documents. Okay, so what we want to do now is the other thing is one of these documents is a purchase order. So maybe one of your documents is a key trigger document that you want. So I want to go directly to that document instead of bringing up a list. And there's the purchase order, so it'll launch that directly. Maybe it's a group of invoices, so you want to have a tab set up and you want to group all your invoices together so you can quickly find those. Or you can even tie a capture process to it. So we can call our capture system directly from your application screen, and we can either pass the data from the screen or we can pass the data from the database. I've got some pre-scanned images in here. Let's pick one out. Here's an invoice from Wed Conferences. I'll say finished. I'll accept it. And remember we had 11 records in this when we did the search last time. Well, now there should be 12. So when I view the records, Here's the 12. This should be the new one down at the bottom. Let's double check it. And there it is, the web conference hotel. We passed to it the vendor number. We passed to it the Say's office supplies. We inserted today's date, and we added it to that. So that's just another thing you can do when you interface the document. We could tie it to your screens, or we can tie it to your database and pass data along with it. Just another way that we can make things easier for the users. Okay, let's talk about workflow a little bit. Workflow can get pretty involved. It can also be pretty simple. And basically, fundamentally, it comes down to really three basic functions. Number one is we give you the ability to distribute your work. We give you an approval system. And then we give you the ability to keep audits and counts on what's taking place in the system. So just real simple here. Here's a purchase order that's being routed. We'll keep tabs on where it's at in its routing scheme. This document's just started. It's in sequence 1, which is Len. When Len approves it, it will simultaneously go to Dave and Terry, and only when both of them have completed it will it advance to Monty. And whenever a particular user on here approves the item or moves it out of their work basket, they'll drop off the list and it'll advance to the next player. So we'll keep tabs on where it's at. Let's show you what I mean by that. Let's do a real live one. Here's a delivery item. Let's take this, and we can route it to either an individual user or a profile, which is our way of saying a distribution list. Here's a 2-person list called Len and JP. Goes to Len, goes to JP. Let's pick that. We actually could set it up so it shoots a notification to the person I just sent something to your work basket. Notice that we added an R here. So if I show the routing, you can see now the documents in Len's work basket, and then it will move to John Paul. So where are the work baskets? Let's go check it out. First off, let's refresh this so it'll add that work basket to it. And then you'll see I can be monitoring multiple work baskets. You can also monitor your employee's work basket. So here I can peek at John Paul's work baskets and see what he's got going on. And in my case, I've got several different work baskets that came to me from the AP system. But here's the one we're looking for. That's the one I just sent from Len JP. And I can either click on the bar chart above there, or I can click directly on this line item to enter that work basket. Notice in addition to the counts that we've got, we age the documents. So you can tell what's been out there for a while, and you can get a nice age spread of what your work in progress is. So I'll click on this item here. This is the document we just routed. We do use first in, first out basis, but we also have priority codes. So you can set it up so priority code can be 0 to 9. High priority items can bubble to the top, or you can just leave it at first in, first out. Maybe I'm an indexer, maybe I'm an approver, maybe I'm both. I'm going to pick this document, and when I queue it up for approval, this is what our approval system looks like. It's pretty basic. It's got that same one look interface on it. I can approve it, I can disapprove it, I can add notes, information. We could set up reason codes or action codes for you. You can customize these to whatever you want them to say. Maybe I want to move this item to a different subgroup. Maybe I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I want to move the item. Maybe I want to skip it for now. We do maintain skip work baskets for you as well. So it's not going to disappear. We'll keep track of it somewhere, but you can skip it. You can reroute it to another subgroup, if you will. We can set callback reminders. So let's set one for next week. And let's say no answer, and let's just say try back. And we'll just leave it at that. And we'll go ahead and set that up. And we use a little icon. We use this little hand with a string around it, finger there. And you can hover over that and see what the callback's about. If it's due in the future, it's green. If it's due today, it'd be yellow. If I missed it, it would be red. So if you might picture this, I've only got one item in this work basket. If I get 10, 20, 30 items in here, anything that's green's okay. Anything that's in red needs my attention. Yellow needs to get looked at too. So it gives you a quick visual as to what's going on. And yeah, let's go in here and queue it back up for approval. And speaking on callback reminders, we also have overdue notifications we can set up. So if an item has been sitting in my work basket past a certain threshold of either days, hours, even down to a minute level, I can send a note to my supervisor. I can alternatively pull it out of the work basket and reassign it. If I'm going on vacation, I have the ability to reassign my work basket. Things like that. You have a lot of controls about how the work is distributed as well. You see here we've got an option. I can attach a document if I need to. We don't have the signature stamping set up, but we do support that. Maybe I've got a stamp that if a invoice is below a certain amount, I can just stamp it. Or maybe I've got a signature pad next to me and I can sign it there and I can stamp it on the document. We support a variety of different ways to stamp signatures on. I'm just going to go ahead and approve it so it moves to the next step. It drops out of my work basket. And my work basket stayed the same because it actually created a new one for John Paul. Because if you remember, let's take a look at this. You see it's no longer routed to me, but now it's sitting in John Paul's work basket. So let's go take a look at that. Here's John Paul's work basket for System D. It's got the one count item in it, brand new. And we won't repeat all of this. What we'll just do is we'll queue it up and approve it. And let's go ahead and just approve it, right? When we do, it'll drop out that work basket and it'll drop out that R saying it's no longer routed. So those are some of the things that we can do with work baskets. That's what it's about. And of course, with workflow, some assembly is always required, and we're available to help you build that and design that and figure out what it is you need. But it's just ways that you can automate or optimize or enforce your work processes. Let's talk about imports for a minute. And one of the other things that we can do is your soft copy documents. We don't want to be printing those out and scanning them. We call them imports. So these might be your Microsoft documents, other PC files, your spreadsheets, PDFs, photos, videos. It could be email messages. We want to be able to just bring those directly into the system. Microsoft gives us a pretty cool plugin. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute, but it makes it easy to send the documents, and it also allows us to launch in their native application. So here, for example, is a Word document. And you'll see when I go to click it, rather than bringing up a static image, I launched it right in the application. Here's an Excel file. Launches it as a spreadsheet. Here's a PDF. Maybe it's a photo. Here's a photo I took right on my Android, sent to myself, and I put in the system here, just imported it right in. We support audio, we support video clips. This one's a minute video. I'm not going to play that right now, but we do support that. Here again, if it was a Microsoft document, we support launching of it directly in the application. So here's a newsletter we had sent out back on this date here. This is actually, if it had an attachment, we could have the attachment with it. And that same exact document that was put in with a print driver might look like this. It's just a static file, displays as a PDF. So let's just show you a couple of things. There's a couple of different ways we can get these imports in. And one of it is just a simple drag and drop. So what I might want to do is I might put in just a, let's call it Len 1. I might just put in something like that. And I say, you know what? I want to drag and drop, and I want to throw some files in here. I've got some of those files. These are the same ones I actually just showed you in a separate directory, but I could just throw them right in here and I could just go ahead and upload them. And we'll give that a minute, but we'll go ahead and upload those files into the system, and that's one way they can get in. And then I'll show you a little thing I've been talking to you a couple of times about the Microsoft Send to RVI option. I'll show you that as well. So the video's in there. It should bring them right up. Here we go. And here's my Len 1 files, and these are all the files we just uploaded. So it's as simple as you can do it with a drag and drop. I mentioned to you that Microsoft gives us a couple of cool options here. Let's take a look at that for a minute. Here's that spreadsheet. The plugin they give us allows us to put a Send to RVI button. You could see that on the top here. If I click that, it'll bring up what systems I could send documents to. I can pick and choose where I want to direct them to, and I can just go ahead and I can just put that into the system if I want. So that's what it's that simple. If it's Microsoft, you can have that plugin on any of your applications. Maybe it's not a Microsoft application, but you'd still like the users to be able to get documents directly in. We do provide a print driver. It's got different properties. You can set different settings on them and all of that. But if I just go ahead and print it, it'll also ask me what system I want to send it to, and we'll just call that Len 3. And after I do the upload process, they would be available to, I'm not going to go through that there, but bottom line is you can do either drag and drops, you can do send to RVI if it's Microsoft, or you can do simply do a print driver if it's a non-Microsoft document. So different ways that we can get it in. Okay, another thing I want to show you real quickly, and then we'll wrap up with a capture example. An added bonus for IBMI customers is we provide a full spool file component for your print output and your reports. And we'll talk about reports. We like print output, but don't have enough time to cover everything. We'll just talk about reports. So here's a 48-page report that we parsed out also by planner code, which was located in the header. And if I wanted to, we have a report distribution function. I could have set this up for an email distribution, break the report out, and then email it to all these different people, right? So, or I could just look at the full and complete report. And I think just clobber with that demo every now and then with that image, but it's a 48-page report. And what we can do is, if I want to find the 3 pages that had the planner on it, I can just simply do a keyword search. You remember Planner 0700 had 3 page hits? Well, here it's highlighted on page 21, on page 22, and on page 23. So one way we can find items is just basically do a keyword search for them. Another thing, we do give you a nice little search tool as well. In this case, let's go a different route. Let's say that we want to find any page that contains the part number wire harness. And so what it's going to do is it found 3 pages that contain that part. This one was for Planner 00074. Remember that, 00074. They had 2 hits on this page. On this one, we found 3 hits. And on this one, we also found 3 hits. So 8 total hits. So maybe I don't want to find the pages with hits. Maybe I just want the line items that had it. I can redo the search and extract the line items that had the wire harness on it. We can combine searches. So you remember that Planner 00074. I want to find all pages that contain both wire harness and Planner 00074. There should be 1 hit. Here's your planner. Here's your wire harness. Found it that way. And then kind of the last cool thing I'll show you we can do, we can actually take this PDF report. We can say, you know what, put it in the one-look grid format. And now that I have it there, let's just drop it into a spreadsheet. So what I did is I took this 48-page report. I said, you know, present that to me in a grid format, and then drop it down in a column delineated worksheet where the user can deal with it offline and create, customize, do whatever they want with the report at that point. So a lot of useful stuff that we can do with the spool file. So I'm going to wrap up with a capture example. And this is actually kind of a trend that we're seeing these days. It's more of an advanced capture where we've really blurred the lines between integration, workflow, and capture. More and more these days, companies are kind of giving their vendors a directive to send invoices to be paid to either a specific email address or maybe to a vendor portal. So we got a little system out here, and we're constantly monitoring these things to ingest those documents into the system. Let's see what we've got. Let's see if we have any existing documents. The other trick here is they usually want a lot of index values. So this can be a very big data entry process. In this case, we've got 10 items, 10 index values that need to get keyed in. And you can see we already have some emails we've brought in. And what we did is we can tie this into our PDF extract tool. So this is really cool, but let me go ahead and first simulate. There's these 5 documents have already been to the business unit place here. But let's go in and let's play Mr. Vendor. And here's my 3 emails. And what I want to do is this first one ends in W8. I'm one vendor that I want to get paid, so I'm going to send my invoice to the appropriate email. Here's another one that ends with YZ. So this might be a different vendor, for example. Let's get that going. And let's do 3. So we got 3 examples here. This one is XM. So what I just did is I assumed I was 3 different vendors sending 3 different emails to get processed for payment. Now, what we can do is we can monitor those directories, those emails of those vendors, and we can pull those documents in. And while we do it, we run it through our PDF extract utility to automatically identify these index values so somebody doesn't have to read a digital document and start keying stuff in. These PDF engines are great. Ours is included with the product. You don't have to pay extra for it. And we'll auto-poll these directories on certain time intervals, or you can go out and capture the documents on demand. So let's see if those three arrived here. If I redo the search, okay, let's sort them by create date so you can see which ones are the new ones. Here's the 3 new ones. Remember the other ones had Monty in them, okay? I've got 3 documents here, and I was able to successfully pull all data points off, and I'll show you what one looks like. Notice it's also got an S to it, so we stapled something to it while we were at it. So here, let's look at this first one here, AIS. So what we see is this is a 2-page document. And when we extracted it, we ran it through the PDF and we set up some rules that said, okay, whenever you see the word invoice, look for the next number you're going to find. That's going to be the invoice number. The date's going to follow invoice date. Whatever, it's a ship to is going to be the bill to. So whatever you want to find, whatever you're looking for in the document, you set up these rules to then go out and find those documents. If I missed, they'd have to get looked at and manually done, but we can get a high percentage of them, particularly when the invoices are clean like this. So we always like to look at the sample of documents that are coming in. So this invoice itself is a 2-pager, but we also said we stapled something to it. So here's document 1 of 2. What we stapled to it was the email that came with it, minus the pictures, because it might have special instructions on it from our customer, from our supplier. And we want to keep track. We want to make sure that we can pull that document with it. So you can do things like that, staple with it, staple it. So then here you can see we've also routed this document. We've routed it. Let's show the routing. And right now it's going to Len and JP. So what happens is these documents are all getting routed to Len and JP. So 4 of them have been there for a while. 3 of them are new. Let's go check the work baskets out. And we'll see what's out there. Let's do a refresh. Okay, here's system A, the little A. It's got 7 documents. Here's the new ones. And here's the ones that have been out there for a while. And what actually happens in the workflow is these things continue to go to the next stop. Someone will put this field in, this one in here, just like Monty was maybe the next stop here and entered that information. So that's how the work gets processed. But the bottom line is we did all of that without keystrokes. So look, I'm going to call it a wrap here, but I really do hope you liked the look of our software and you can understand how it can benefit your operation. We designed it to be full function and flexible because our customers do a lot of things differently. And what we always say is if you really can provide the business insight and tell us what you need, then we can provide the technical expertise and build it for you. We do welcome an opportunity to discuss your project or answer any questions you got. Visit our website. You can ask for a follow-up demo. You can ask for a follow-up contact, and we do greatly appreciate your interest in our software.